don't know if you noticed or not, there are a lot of things dividing people right now. And if we're going to move past that, we're going to have to find some things that will unite us. And that's what we're talking about as we start the second week of our new series, Upended. And I wanted to give you a little bit of a preview about what we're talking about. Upended is a series where we're looking through scenes in the book of Acts. The book of Acts, of course, tells the story of the beginning of the church. And this week we're in chapter 1, and I want to just read a couple of verses to you. It says, "Here are the names of those who are present," talking about a gathering of the early church, and it's going to list the 11 remaining apostles: Peter, John, James, Andrew, Philip, Thomas, Bartholomew, Matthew, James, son of Alphaeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas, son of James. They all met together and were constantly united in prayer, along with Mary, the mother of Jesus, several other women, and the brothers of Jesus. In those two small verses is packed just a tremendous amount of information, and there's so much context behind it. But notice that the church met together and were constantly united in prayer. They were together and they were united and they were in prayer. I've been reading a book called Love Over Fear by Dan White Jr., and he talks about what an amazing collection of people Jesus put together for his disciples, and then talks about what paradigm breaking activity and behavior Jesus displayed. I just want to read a little bit to you. It says, "In the selection of his disciples, Jesus gathered 3 zealots who were militant nationalists, a tax collector who favored the Sadducee party, 6 fishermen who lived hand to mouth and were exploited by Roman taxation, one probable possible member of the Zachari party, a wealthy nobleman who was possibly linked to the Pharisees." This is scandalous. This is like all the way across the spectrum of the religious and political uh, parties of the day. This is the way he describes it. "It's like organizing a home church with a few Black Lives Matter protesters, blue-collar workers who believe Donald Trump will fix the country, a couple on public assistance while working for minimum wage at McDonald's, a wealthy Republican gentleman who owns an oil refinery, and a member of Antifa. It's an understatement to say these men would have loathed being in the same room with each other. But what they found is one thing that would unite them that transcended all of those other things. It was all about Jesus. They were united around Jesus." He goes on to say, "Jesus purposefully disrupted the social lines and political boundaries that fear builds between us and them. Jesus was not supposed to speak to a woman at the well. He's a Jew. She's a Samaritan. They're expected to be enemies. Jesus was not supposed to show kindness to Roman soldiers because they are the oppressors who use the sword to control. They were expected to be enemies. Jesus was not supposed to spend time with prostitutes. They were viewed as unclean. They were expected to be enemies. Jesus was not supposed to share a meal with a tax collector. They cheated the poor out of their hard-earned wages. They were expected to be enemies. Did Jesus care about social justice? Of course. Did Jesus care about morality and righteousness? Of course. But something else was superior, more powerful. The very makeup of Jesus' first discipleship group was a purposeful message about the kingdom of God." Lawn on Sunday morning, and I'll be looking for you in the online version of the service as well. I hope you have a great weekend and that the